PETAs are all just gangsters with hard-ons for nature, and just 'cause they got molested, we all shouldn't eat meat. They have a final solution, just like Hitler's Jew shit. They wanna kill everyone that's not a pussy.
Hey guys, I'm going to be filming in a little bit of a not lighted room because my dad is currently fixing all the switches. So, sorry about that. I wanted to talk today about PETA. As you may have noticed, the intro song I use is a different song from what I normally use. It's Rucka Rucka Ollie's song about PETA, which I'll link in the description. I don't think it's on his original channel anymore, but it's on somebody else's channel. So, if you like that song, I'll put the link in the description. Anyway, I wanted to talk about PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, although they should really be called the People for the Euthanization Treatment of Animals, because that is what they do. They euthanize animals who don't get adopted in their shelters. They're not a no-kill shelter. So that, right off the bat, I have a problem with. But the main thing I have a problem with is their kind of militant stance towards, I mean, not literally militant, but they're just very, very hard on veganism and how people treat animals. And I have no problem with being a vegan, being a vegetarian, being whatever. I just believe that it's a lifestyle choice. And yes, it is technically better for the environment and for animals, but if you choose not to do it, that does not make you a bad person, unlike a certain vegan on YouTube might say, or I believe there are several of them actually, but you guys would know who I'm talking about. It's sort of like, for example, I've chosen to become an organ donor, and technically, if you choose to be an organ donor, that might be seen as ethically more moral because it helps people. But I do not think I'm a better person than anybody else, regardless of whether they have become an organ donor or not. So ultimately, veganism and vegetarianism is a lifestyle choice, and I think it should be just respected as that and not like some great moral crusade. Again, I don't have a problem with animal rights groups in general. I love animals, actually. As you guys might have known, I used to do a fundraiser. But PETA is another thing altogether. First of all, as somebody wisely pointed out, I don't know exactly who this person was, but somebody said, humans are animals too, why don't they treat humans with respect? Because they seem to like to be dicks to humans, quite literally, as you'll see. And, you know, there's the euthanization, there's their awful PSAs, which I'll show you in a second. They just have the worst PSAs. And then there's this ridiculous pseudoscientific claim that they have made, which particularly gets me angry, and I'll do that at the end of the video. But let's get into the first of their PSAs. It was a very recent one that came out on Twitter recently, and everybody was like, this is bad, stop it, get some help. Like, it's just that bad. The internet reacted badly to it, and this is not the only PSA that the internet has made fun of, as you will see. So this is their first one, which I refer to as the vegetable dicks one, and you'll see what I mean in a second. The message of that, I have mixed feelings on, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, oh, veganism increases your sexual stamina, if that is indeed a real effect of it. I don't know what it is. All I know is that John Saker said, vegan dicks get harder, vegan pussies put wetter, the sex is better when you're a vegan.
Vegan dicks get harder, vegan pussies get wetter, the sex is better when you're vegan. Vegan dicks get harder, vegan pussies get wetter, the sex is better when you're vegan.
Maybe that's true. I don't know. But there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's just a kind of a weird message, a weird reason to go vegan. Like, what they show is just like this borderline pornographic stuff, like men should only care about their sexual stamina. It's actually kind of sexist if you think about it, because it's saying, like, men only care about sex, or at least that's the message I got from it. So that one was just kind of cringy and weird. There's nothing really morally wrong with it, but oh boy, we're gonna get into the next one, and you'll see the problem pretty evidently. This came out quite a few years ago, I think, and the internet just loved making fun of it, so you might have already seen it. But if you haven't, you are in for a doozy.
You look at me when I'm talking to you! Look at me! Is this what you want? You use my woman! Look at what you made me do! Look at me! Shut your mouth! What has she got? No! Yeah! Cry! Cry!
There are so many things wrong with this PSA that I don't even know where to start. Okay, first of all, killing a fish, which is just something that carnivores do, and omnivores, which we are, is not the same as mugging, domestic abuse, bullying. Like, it's just not the same. A fish does not feel, in fact, I've heard some people say they can't even feel pain. I don't even know if that's true. But a fish does not feel on the same level that a human feels. It is just not sentient on that same level. Second of all, a fish opening its mouth is not a scream. That's like the fish breathing. That's not a scream. And third of all, something a lot of other people have pointed out is the fish would probably be dead before it's cut up for dinner. Like, it would be dead way before that. So there were so many things wrong with this. I could go on about how terrible this is, but believe it or not, the last PSA I'm going to show you is even worse. I mean, do I even have to say why that's kind of disrespectful and just insulting? Again, rape is not on the same level as experimenting on a mouse or a rat. Now, I am against experimentation on mice or rats when it's unnecessary. If you're testing medicines or something like that, then that's important. But if it's cosmetics, then no, I'm against that. But they're telling you to go after this specific person who's doing experimentation on animals, and I mean that's kind of concerning because PETA is trying to rally up people against this one person. I don't even know if this one person has necessarily done anything wrong. I don't even know the context of these experiments other than what they showed on the cards, and it's misleading. I mean, they try to make you think that it's about women being raped, but really it's about mice and rats being experimented on, which is not the same thing. But we are going to get into the cream of the crop.
I am the cream. Yeah, let me say it, yeah. Let me say it out loud. The cream of the crop. I am the cream. I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop!
The best, or I should say the worst part of PETA. They claimed that milk causes autism. That's right. Milk causes autism, so let's get into the little article they posted on that. Autism and autism spectrum disorder are complex disorders of brain development that may be associated with a wide range of symptoms, such as limited verbal communication and difficulty with social interactions. So first of all, they're confusing autism with autism spectrum disorder, which are technically two different things. People refer to autism spectrum disorder as autism. They also refer to what used to be called just autism as autism. It's a little confusing because of how the DSM has changed it. But no, those are two different things technically, and it's just conflating it. More research is needed, but scientific studies have shown that many autistic kids improve dramatically when put in a diet free of dairy products. Now, I will point out why this could be the case. Just for reference, I'm potentially on the spectrum. I'm getting tested for it right now. But something I can vouch from personal experience is that people on the autism spectrum often have gastrointestinal problems. I don't think people really know why, but it could be a genetic thing that just comes along with it. And many people with gastrointestinal problems are either allergic to or have some sort of sensitivity to dairy. So that's probably why, because they don't have those gastrointestinal problems anymore when they don't have dairy. One study of 20 children found a major reduction in autistic behavior in kids who were put on a casein-free diet. Casein is a component of cow's milk. And another study done with researchers at the University of Rome showed a marked improvement in the behavior of autistic children who were taken off dairy products. The reason why dairy products may worsen autism is being debated. Some suggest that the gastrointestinal problems, so often caused by dairy problems, cause distress and therefore worsen behavior in children with autism. Regardless of the cause, testimonies show that many people with this condition may be able to find relief with a simple dietary change, removing milk from their diet. The internet contains numerous heart-wrenching stories from parents of kids who had suffered the worst effects of autism for years before dairy products, I don't know why they're putting products in quotes, were eliminated from their children's diet. Here is one mother's story. So I'm going to read that, but first I'm going to say milk is not linked to autistic behavior. Like I said, the reason why children with autism may do better getting off dairy products is because they don't have the gastrointestinal problem anymore, which is kind of what they're saying in the article. But they're conflating autistic behavior with generally improving without milk. Then I realized that Miles' ears infection had begun when he was 11 months old, just after we'd switched him from soy formula to cow's milk. He'd been on soy formula because my family was prone to allergies, and I'd read that soy might be better for him. I'd breastfed until he was 3 months old, but he didn't tolerate breast milk, possibly because I was drinking lots of milk. There was nothing to lose, so I decided to limit all the dairy products from his diet. What happened next was nothing short of miraculous. Miles stopped screaming. He didn't spend as much time repeating actions. By the end of the first week, he pulled my hand when he wanted to go downstairs. For the first time in months, he let his sister hold his hands to sit and ring around a Rosie. So this is just one person's anecdote. It seemed like their young baby or child had pretty severe symptoms. keep in mind that a lot of kids, even with low-functioning autism, tend to improve from when they're very early in their development. It isn't surprised that dairy products may worsen this condition, considering that milk has already been strongly linked to cancer, Crohn's disease, and other serious health problems. Okay, I'm not going to comment on that because that may or may not be true. Anyone who wants to alleviate the effects of autism should try giving cows milk for milk and switch to healthy vegan alternatives instead. To learn about a diet free of dairy products, order our free vegetarian starter kit today. So this is, of course, really to sell their own point of wanting people to be vegan, and it's just infuriating that they would say that milk causes autism, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. And this whole thing like, oh, they have a gastrointestinal problem, which then causes or worsens the autism, that's actually linked to some research that Andrew Wakefield published, which was the famous study saying that vaccines cause autism, which has been debunked into oblivion and been discredited as a scientific study.
You are total nutcase, completely deranged, delusional, paranoid. Your process is all fucked up. Your information tray is jammed, man.
If they catch you with pork in your mouth, or if you're running a test on chimpanzees to learn how makeup will look on their face, then PETA's will start a fire. They'll burn your house to the ground.